first talk about what is the Summer Bridge program. Some of you have maybe heard of it. Hopefully you've heard of this program that we offer. We've been offering it for quite a few years now in partnership with our community college partners. But what the Summer Bridge program is it is a free, as Tyler said, 3-week program that's designed to help students that require learning support classes, which we'll dig in on that in just a moment, but it's designed to help those students become more confident both academically and socially as they look toward their first semester of college. So first, let's dig into what is learning support course and how is that determined. So that is all going to be determined based on a student's ACT score. So on average, if a student scored below a 19 on their ACT, they will likely require some sort of learning support course. So that would be either math, reading, or English are the 3 types of learning support courses. And basically, if a student is not scoring at a specific level, the college will ask that student to take the learning support course in that subject. That course is going to not be for college credit, but the student must pass that course before they get to college level in, like I said, English, reading, or math. So it's really important that students are able to get that help with these learning support courses through this program and hopefully be able to start college a little bit more prepared. So as I mentioned, this program is in partnership with all of our community college partners across the state. So we host at least one program on each of our community college campuses, as well as oftentimes we're able to host a program at some of these satellite campuses. For example, Vol State, Volunteer State Community College, if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, we host a program at their Gallatin main campus, as well as their Cookeville campus. What we really aim to do is try to cover as many corners of the state as possible with all of these programs. So a little bit more about what this program looks like. As we said, it's a 3-week program. It is run Monday through Thursday for 3 weeks from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. daily. Basically, the first and last day of the program is an opportunity for students to take a placement test. This placement test gives them the opportunity to test into college level in those 3 subjects that we discussed, math, reading, and English. So on that first day, let's say the only learning support course they were going to require would be math. And let's say they hit that threshold on the first day in math. That means they would test into college level courses, would no longer need learning support in that subject, and therefore would not have to continue with the program. And we always hope for that. We hope that they're able to do that on the first day, but if not, they get another chance at the end of the program after they have received instruction in all 3 subjects. So you'll see on the screen here, the middle 12 days of the program. So after the first day, students come from 9 to 1, they receive instruction in those 3 subjects. We do require students to participate in all 3 subjects, regardless of test scores, because what we've seen is that not only is it important, of course, for them to get instruction, but to have that cohorted feeling with other students that are there, their peers, be able to develop those friendships is another important part of this program as well. Like we mentioned before, this is to make them more confident, not just academically, but also socially. Also with this instruction, what we are telling the professors, these are college professors, by the way, in most cases, but we're asking them to teach the concepts that these students need to learn in order to be successful, of course, on the placement test, but ultimately when they get to college. That is what we're looking for. We're not asking them to teach to the test, but we really want the students to walk away feeling more prepared for their first year of college. So having those college professors teach those courses always also gives students kind of the feel for what might it feel like when I am in college? What is this atmosphere going to be like? Maybe it'll help them. Maybe they think college professors are scary, but they have the Summer Bridge program, they're in the course and they're like, oh, maybe not so scary after all. We hear that frequently, but it helps them to kind of see what that relationship may be like, what it's like to learn from a college professor, as well as making friends and building those relationships with some of their peers throughout those 3 weeks. Another really great part of this, a lot of times, one of the big draws is that we give them Chick-fil-A and things such as that. But each day, each instruction day, they will be given free lunch. And we pair that with either a speaker or activity that helps prepare them for college. So what that means is that we ask often college staff, or even a lot of times mentors like yourself, we will ask people from the community to come and talk about things that are important that can help students become successful. So maybe that's personal finance, maybe that's career exploration, or maybe there's an inspiring story that a mentor has or someone from the community, and they want to share their own college journey. So we get all of those speakers and activities, all those logistics together, and each day they will have something that will help them feel more prepared for college in the fall. And we already talked about having the opportunity to test out of learning support classes. But what this also means is if a student is requiring all 3 learning support courses, that is basically 1 semester of college, sometimes up to a year of college that they can save by just dedicating those 3 weeks during the summer to one of these summer bridge programs. Next slide, please, Tyler. All right, so how can this program help your students? So I would say if you ask anyone on the tnAchieves staff what is one of their favorite parts of this job, is we always love being able to be on campus with students for 3 weeks in the summer. You get to see the same students every day, and we really get to build those relationships. But that's not enough for us to get to host this program each year. The reason we're able to do this is because it is making a difference for students. So let's take a little bit of a look at what this looks like. So first, let's look at the first year retention rate. You can see here, Tennessee community college students that scored below a 19 on their ACT have a 44 first year retention rate. However, if you're looking at a summer bridge participant, they have a 68% retention rate, which is quite a jump compared to their peers. Even more so with the 3-year graduation rate, like it says here on your screen, it is a little bit over double what it is for their Tennessee community college peers that scored below a 19 on the ACT. So it is making a huge difference. Just thinking about those 14 days that students are able to commit to this program, that is making a huge impact, not only in the immediate, but also on their future as they are committing to that time, putting in that work, and looking toward not only are they going to return to college after their first year, but are they going to graduate within that 3-year time frame. You'll also see here that 89% of students last year improved their scores or tested out of their required learning support courses. So the data shows that this program is working. Many students are improving or testing out of those required courses. But what I think is also a really cool thing to highlight is while we have 89% improving or testing out, 97% of students say they feel more prepared for college after the program. So that means that even if students aren't improving or testing out of college level courses, 97% of them are seeing a benefit by committing those 3 weeks to being more prepared for college.
And I would jump in here too, and this data is fantastic, right? That 97% number always jumps out. It's jumps off the page of me every time I see it, and I've seen it for years now. But I think the thing is too, you really see that confidence build in the students as you are at the program itself. You see students who come in on day 1 for the pre-test and they're nervous, that aren't sure where to go, they're by themselves. By the time they leave the program, they've got a group of friends that they've made. To Jess's point, we're trying to build a cohort of these students that really get to know each other and build a relationship on campus. But they know where they're going, they know where to park each day, like all these simple things that really combine to make a student feel so much more prepared for college in the fall. We get to see it develop over these 3 weeks, and it's a really, to your point, Jess, it's one of, I think, most of our staff's favorite time, because it's a great long period of time where we get to know students and see them build confidence, which is really, really exciting.
Absolutely. All right, so who should register for the program? So there are a couple points here on the screen, but basically if a student wants to be more prepared for college, they should register for the program. At the very least, they do need to be eligible for the Tennessee Promise Scholarship. So they have to have met their requirements up until their program. So you'll see in just a moment, you may be wondering, when are these programs and where are they being offered? We will have a slide that will show you when exactly these programs will be. But at the time of the program, they must have met all of their requirements at that time. So Tennessee Promise eligible is the biggest thing. I know a moment ago I went over what it means to require a learning support course. So just as a quick refresh, on average, it's in general, it's okay to say basically a student that scored below a 19 on their ACT. But if we want to be a little bit more detailed, if a student has below an 18 in English or below a 19 in reading or math, they will require learning support in that said subject. So that is one thing to keep in mind. And as Tyler has noted here, and he may want to elaborate a little more, while you may not have access to students' ACT scores, this is a good guiding question or way to start a conversation around this program and if a student may be the right fit. I will say that while it is aimed for students that require one or more learning support course, we have had students in the past who have chosen to participate because they just want to make friends or they want review. That has happened a lot in the past as well. So we will give first priority to students who seem to need the program. If we get, some programs get super full and we get a lot of applicants. However, we very rarely need to or had to tell a student no. So if you have a student come to you saying, I just really want to be around my peers or I want a little review, it'll help me feel a little bit better, we will allow them to also register and participate in the program. The final thing to kind of look for is we do ask that students are able to commit to the entire 3 weeks of the program because it is such a short amount of time. Each day that a student missed is going to be them potentially missing quite a large chunk of the program. So we do ask that they're able to make arrangements to attend all 3 weeks. I believe we allow one absence, but of course that needs to be something that they're communicating with tnAchieves. So that way they can get the most out of this program since they are choosing to commit to those 3 weeks.
Yeah, and to your point, Jess, I will just kind of hone in on this ACT piece here. You know, for you as a mentor, this is not data that we have available to you. It is not going to be in your Connect portal. It's not information we can share with you. But as Jess mentioned, this is just a good jumping off point for conversation with your students. What I always recommend you do in terms of sharing this program out is send them the guidelines. We've got a one-pager on this program we can share with you and just have them review it and say like, hey, is this a good fit for you? And in that conversation, they may share their ACT scores with you, and that's totally okay if the student chooses to do that. But, you know, I wouldn't feel like you need to be specifically targeting which of your students you should send this to. Send this to all of them because Jess mentioned this, you know, while there are some guidelines around which students can and cannot participate, if we can fit students into this program, we definitely want to do that. And there's a question in here as well about, you know, if a student's going to a four-year college, could they still participate? Yes, those students going to Tennessee Promise institutions are going to be in that kind of first come, first served bucket. But if a student would like to participate, they can still register. And we'll be happy to see if we can get them into a program. Only big note there is their test scores will not be counted by that four-year institution. So they would really just be taking the program as part of like college prep.
Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. I also saw that in the chat there. While all community colleges are going to accept scores from our program, as you get to some of our four-year partners, as Tyler said, some of them do and some of them do not. So the best rule of thumb there is to encourage that student to reach out to their intended college and just ask. They will let you know whether or not you have to take the test on their campus or what their rules are. But if you have a student who is wanting to attend Nashville State, but Motlow is the closest program, those scores will transfer among any of our 13 community college partners. I also saw another question that I was just going to tackle really quickly, since it kind of pertains to what we're talking about. If there's any wiggle room in terms of attendance. As I mentioned, we allow students to miss basically one day if they need to. So things such as a doctor's appointment, sometimes students have college tours or orientation, absolutely, as long as they're communicating with tnAchieves and the staff member running that program, of course, we will allow for those types of things, but we do have that strict attendance policy, basically to try to get away from students just taking a day just because they don't feel like coming one day and then not reaping the entire benefit of the program. I also see here is a bridge program, a good fit for a student planning to attend a TCAP. Students are, of course, if they're planning to attend a TCAP, welcome to participate. Once again, students that are planning to go to a Tennessee Promise eligible institution, most likely a community college, are our best candidates here and will receive priority because TCATs typically aren't going to look at ACT scores, and the placement test is kind of going to be it's not needed. It doesn't translate to a TCAT. So if a student wants to and they just want that exposure, of course, but it isn't necessarily going to apply apples to apples in that type of situation.
And you ready for the next slide, Justin?
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. All right, so maybe the moment you've all been waiting for, these programs we're talking about, when are they, where are they going to be held? So as you can see on your screen now, all of the programs that we will be offering this summer, you will see that programs will run either June 1st through 26th or July 6th through 31st. So as I mentioned, there is at least one program on all of our community or partnered with all of our community colleges. And then we have 3 programs that are going to be on a satellite campus. As I mentioned, this is in an effort to cover as much of the state as we can. But you will see here, as I mentioned earlier, all programs will run Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Registration is super easy for students. It will take 2 minutes when they go to tnAchieves.org and click on our summer programs. It is going to ask them basically for their contact information that they can send to this or submitting this application, and that's all they need to do. In terms of the program as well, something that I want to mention, I mentioned that lunch is free, but we also provide students with supplies for the program. So really all that they need to be able to do is get themselves there all of those program days, and we will give them everything else that they need in terms of supplies, lunch, throughout those entire 3 weeks. The registration deadline is May 12th, so we have coming quickly, but we have a couple weeks before that deadline. Tyler, anything that you think you would like to add that I've forgotten?
You know, I would just gonna add to, I think one of the added benefits of this program is that for your students who are going to the college that they're taking the program at, which is going to be most of them, oftentimes at these programs too, we're able to get students taken care of with a lot of their kind of college enrollment requirements. So, you know, things like getting a student ID, registering for classes, taking care of admissions and financial aid steps. With many of these programs, we have really good partnerships with our college team on, you know, campus, and we can get this information, we can relay it to the students at the program. And, you know, a lot of times our staff is spending 15 or 20 minutes after each day, kind of getting a student where they need to be, making sure they're taking care of those requirements, and, you know, not only knocking out some of these prerequisite classes, but also, you know, getting what they need to get done to actually start classes in the fall. So kind of serves 2 great purposes there that I think really, really benefits the student and makes a huge, huge difference. I do see we've got a couple questions coming in here, and I want to hop in here. and see what we've got. I see there's one question from earlier about if the students do test out on day one, if they score high enough on day one, and do they need to continue with the program, and have they then tested out of those learning support classes? The answer is yes. If they get their scores where they need to be on day one, our staff will review those with them, let them know that they have in fact tested out of those learning support classes, but we're also then going to let them know that they don't need to continue on with the program. I actually think more often than not, and Jess, you can attest to this, students who test out oftentimes choose to stay in the program because they kind of know they were going to test out on day one, but they wanted to get the familiarity, get the experience under their belt. So oftentimes we do see students continue on, but at that point it would be their choice.
I can help with these, with this next one about programs, if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, jump in.
So we have a question about, this is specifically about a program being offered at the main campus. And what I will say as well, like I mentioned, we try to cover every corner of the state. We simply, with funding and staff constraints, unfortunately, I wish we could run a program at every main and satellite campus, and hopefully one day we can. But we do our best to spread them out throughout the state. I will say for Motlow specifically, we have done many years on the main campus, and then we also this year and last year have done Smyrna campus. So we try to kind of switch back and forth and try to cover them. And I know that doesn't necessarily help for our students of this year, but we really do our best to spread it out and kind of do what we can. And like I said, hopefully one day we can cover all of the campuses, satellite and main, and offer this to everyone everywhere. Let's see, are there any campuses that are full, so students need to choose another location? At this point, no, none of them are full. So we will communicate that to students, but we've really never run into a spot where we've kind of turned students away. We try to say yes to students and figure that out, whether that means more professors or getting creative. So if that does happen, we will definitely communicate that, but we are not in that space at the moment. So definitely encourage them. They can sign up for the one that they have their eye on. You do not have to have them choose another one.
Yeah, so you got one more question in here about a document. We do have like a one-page document highlighting bridge program, the bridge programs. We will, when we send this recording out, share that in that email so that you can pass it along to your students. And I was going to note as well that we will update the Tennessee Achieves Connect portal so that it shows you which of your students have registered for Bridge, so that as they register, you can see who's choosing to do this. It'll be good to know also for once the programs are going on themselves, you can kind of reach out and encourage them in that sense. I did want to highlight just for you as a mentor, kind of how to navigate this moving forward, just really briefly. Like I said, we will put this in Connect, but I think the best thing you can do is just communicate this information out to your students. We'll send you that one pager. We'll include a text template, share it with the students, share it with the parents, and just encourage them to look into it. Like I said earlier, you don't necessarily have their ACT scores. You can't necessarily target the students, but the best thing we can do as it relates to Bridge is just share it with the students, really encourage them to consider it as an option, make sure they feel comfortable to apply and participate, knowing that this is ultimately going to help them. This is going to make them more successful in college, and just see what you can do to get the information in their hands. And as they have questions, if we can help at all navigate those questions, just let me know, let our team know. We'll be happy to get those taken care of for you. But I do think because you as a mentor have been building that more personal connection with them and maybe their parents, that by sending it out to them, by kind of personally encouraging them to give it a look, we may be able to get a few more students locked into Summer Bridge for this June or July. But really, that's just, do you have anything more to add?
No, I don't think so. This is just such a great opportunity for students. So we really appreciate you sharing this with any Tennessee Promise eligible high school graduate that as I mentioned, these programs are super special to us. And we really want students to see kind of the benefits of, 14 days, basically, not even full days, a couple hours each day. It really can change the next couple of years of their life and their future trajectory, not just the now.
I love running a summer bridge program. It's a good chance for, for me, who is working with mentors throughout the year, to get on campus, work with students for a few weeks. One of my favorite things about the summer bridge program each year is, without fail, you get a student on day 1 or day 2 who comes in and they say, like, I'm just here during the summer because my mom made me or something. And by the end of the program, that student's like, you know what, this wasn't that bad. I kind of enjoyed it. And seeing that transition, it sounds silly, but it is rewarding, and it speaks to, I think, how really beneficial this is for students. So thank you all again for hopping on today, for sharing this out with your students. My contact information is here on the screen. Let me know how I can help or what questions you have as you share this out. But as always, we really appreciate you hopping on. And if you need anything from us at all, don't hesitate to reach out.